Hey guys, it's Clemsonopoly94 speaking, and Control. Clement3 is right next to me, and he'll be commenting whenever I mess up, which will probably be a lot. In our last tutorial, I showed you a lot of this already, same world. This is just going to be getting used to redstone. I'll show you a little bit more tricks. To start off with, I forgot to mention, it can also go under glowstone, and it cannot be placed on top of glowstone. I guess if you want to light up your place instead of seeing through your invention, glowstone will be pretty good at it. Another thing to mention is that pits, you cannot push redstone, so if like you wanted to move your whole contraption over or turn it on and off, if you try to push a redstone, they just turn right back into redstone dust. So I would not advise putting a piston there. Another thing is it does not survive underwater. Stupid sheep, you weren't there when I first started. Anyway, as you see there's a switch here and redstone. I'm gonna drown them, but as you see, water flowing through it actually destroys everything down there.
Not the sheep though.
Not the sheep, just see. Surprised the sheep didn't swim. Anyways, so it does not survive underwater. Make sure you are not near a lake and your trolling friend is nearby. That would not end up too well. Another thing is I'm pretty sure you guys know this already. It cannot go through a block, but you can, however, what I like to call power a block. If I put a repeater there, it strengthens the power so much it almost powers that block and goes straight through it. It also works the other way. I guess the repeater actually pulls power from the block, because as you see, it will go. It keeps going. It goes through it. But you cannot, however, place it on top. But you can power it from the top. So, like, if you wanted. It can go up, but not down, I guess, is the way I mentioned it. Another thing about repeaters, I think I forgot to mention in the last video, is that they're also what's called diodes. If you are actually with, like, electronic nerd like me, a diode basically allows electricity to flow through one direction. As you see, it goes through this way, the way the arrow is pointing, but if I come over here and try to put it over here, power will not come back through it. That could be handy in many cases when you're trying to build logic gates, which is what I'll mention in my intermediate tutorial. I guess if you wanted to power your stuff differently, just figuring out where a switch actually powers is pretty nice. Where I currently have redstone, of course, the switch powers. It powers the block it's actually on. It powers the block next to it. It'll also power the block under it. As you would see, it powers under it. It also powers... Let's see if I destroy some of this that's not connecting. It powers that block. It also powers blocks directly around it. So, nice little thing. Buttons are the same way.
And it will not go diagonal.
Yeah, I guess that's another thing to mention. Buttons are the same way. So, another thing that becomes really useful is torches. Knowing where torches power everything. As you've seen over here, it powers directly around it, not in its diagonal though. So like if I place a torch here and a redstone here, it doesn't power, so it's only in its direct path. When it's hovering on the side of a block, it will power the block right here. It will also power the block right here as normal, because it's in its direct path, so it's normal there. Also, if you place a block above it, it will power the block, which will power the redstone above it. It also works on these over here. Whoops, didn't do that.
Nice.
I gotta rebuild everything. Kinda like building stuff. As you can see, it will power the block above it. Another interesting thing about torches is you can actually turn them off. What you do is you actually give them power, not necessarily with a switch on the side, but redstone power next to it, which will then turn it off. Say if I do that, add a switch here, and power it, it will actually turn off the redstone.
Pretty cool.
One of the most interesting things about repeaters and redstone are actually the invention of what people like to make our computers. But the first thing about a computer is all computers have clocks. Well, to start off, I've mentioned before that repeaters delay time. They delay one tick in their furthermost setting. I guess is the way you would mention it. How would you say it?
One tick, one level, 2 ticks, 2 levels, etc.
etc. Anyway, so it's one tick, 2 tick. Those are the 3 tick, 4 tick. And if you add them together, that's 4 tick plus 4 tick. So right here would be 8 ticks in delay. Same here.
Just math, simple math.
The problem is in the Xbox version, if you start going too fast with the redstone, it starts glitching up.
It will lag, don't worry.
It will still act the way it's supposed to. I'm going to also use the little thing that we've learned, that redstone can power blocks next to them, right? And as you saw, it was a little bit of delay there. But when you add power to it, remember, it turns it off, right? So it turns it off, and then it will turn it on because there's no power, and then you add power to it, and then it turns it off. So you have this little clock cycle going on. This kind of clock, many people don't know about. A few people do. Just for symmetry here. Many people actually don't use this. A lot of people just get rid of this block and all, and add another repeater here, which of course turns it off. But then you have the hard time of turning it on and off. You have to give it a little pulse, don't keep the torch there too long. And as you see, it's an infinite loop, which is pretty nice when you want to create like pistons turning on and off through one of these things. But when you add a block here, you're actually able to turn on and off your little clock. As you see, it powers the whole thing on, and then it turns it off in the same pattern. So it's a little different than a clock, but when you actually turn it off, as you see, it stays off. You turn it on, it stays on. That's pretty nice when you want to turn on and off clocks, though. I guess I will show you, since we have time, a lot of time actually. I'll show you this little contraption over here. It's only a one-sided hidden door. In an intermediate tutorial, if I have enough time, I'll show you how to do two-sided, because there is a little bit of knowledge you'll have to know. But as you see, it opens up a little passageway. This is nice if you want to like create a
secret doorway.
Yep. So as you see, it's a nice little switch. It just uses a few tricks over here that we've learned. We've learned that switches can power this block over here. Pretty nice. You split it. We've also learned that when pistons, as you see, there's pistons here. When you power the block directly next to them, as you see, I'm powering these two blocks right here. It's kind of weird how this one works. It powers this block and this block. I'm kind of confused how this one works. It's a little weird how that one works. But I just know that when you put a block here, it has to be pointing to it though, and it will power these two pistons. As you see over here, it's powered them, which extends it, makes it flush up against it. Same thing over here. I have a little delay over here. This delay is to make sure that these pistons close before it retracts, because then you'll leave the cotton blocks behind. This over here is just powering all the these two. I actually have 4 pistons over here. I have 2 on top, 2 on bottom, as you can probably see right there. You power them. This block, this is actually powering this cotton block, so this one's powered. And this one is powering these two, this one and the one below it. And this one is just powering the one below it. And this ensures, that delay ensures that it pulls it back after it retracts. As you can see, it pulls back and then pulls it. While it's off, it keeps the cotton blocks pulled. It pulls the cotton blocks and the pistons back. So it is a completely hidden system if you create a long enough pathway. Like if I wanted to make this infinite, I'd actually place another grass block right here. I put more wool right here to cover it up, but I just wanted to show you guys this. So it's like a little,
just a long
passage.
Yeah, cool.
I will show you in a later tutorial, an intermediate tutorial. I know this is a fast tutorial, but I just forgot to mention a few things. Again, that will come really useful in future tutorials, very close tutorials. Don't forget that. It's basically just repeaters and circles. I like the on and off switch. It makes life easier, not necessarily.
And believe it or not, you can use redstone for farming. We'll make a video on that a little bit later. It'll help make farming easier.
And as I said, I'm going to build a tutorial on how to make it two-sided. It's the same basic idea of this, except we're going to add what's called a logic gate. A certain logic gate is an XOR gate to this switch, and the switch that will be over here. And I'll teach you that in an intermediate tutorial.
Too confusing for me.
Hopefully not by the next tutorial though.
Hopefully not.
So again, don't put it underwater. Don't
Especially
push
when
it.
sheep's in there.
Don't push it. And repeaters are your friends, not enemies. So even though there is a delay, they become very useful. And thanks for watching. Please subscribe, comment in any way, shape, or form. I know this was a very short tutorial. Just please comment. We like those comments. Subscribe to us too. We love those subscriptions. We'll have a farming video up soon, and
Tell your friends.
alright, thank you for watching.